Hey guys, Chad here at Happy Viking Games, and today what we're going to do is we're going to go more in depth on the combat phase. This is for our beginners, and it's going to explain a little bit how the phases work in combat, because the combat phase is really strange. There's 4 phases inside of a phase, so it might be kind of weird to know when you can play things or when you can block or whatever, so I'm going to try my best to explain it. So the combat phase is interesting because the way it works is, let's say you want to attack, right? And let's say you have this daring skyjack, and he's a 3-1, and you want to attack with him. So what you would do is you would try to move to your combat phase, and you would tell your opponent, be like, hey, I want to attack you. And if they have a response before moving into combat, they'll do something. If not, they'll say, sure. And then you move to your combat phase. So the first step inside the combat phase is the beginning of combat. So once you move to the beginning of combat, you as a player can no longer cast sorceries or creatures or anything like that. It's not like your main phase. The only thing you can do is cast instants. But once you're in your combat step, you can play an instant before you would decide to attack. Just like your opponent can also do the same thing. So let's say you had a sorcery spell pumps. Let's say you had a sorcery spell that made your guy bigger, but your opponent had an instant that killed your guy. Well, if they waited till your combat step, they could play their instant to kill your guy, and you couldn't use your sorcery. So that's really confusing because it's your turn and it's a sorcery, but that's just the way it works. So that's the first step. Before attackers are declared, there's a window for both of you to act, and then you declare attackers. So you'd say, I want to attack with this daring skyjack because he's so daring. And after you declared attacks with however many guys you're attacking with, or maybe it's just this guy or whatever, then you have a window where you can cast a spell. And then if you don't, or you do, or whatever you decide to do, your opponent also has a window where they can cast a spell before they declare their blocks. So what you can do is, let's say you attack with this guy and you want to go, I don't want to spare him from evil, even though angels aren't very evil. You can give him protection from non-human creatures. And what this would do before you declared blocks was it would make sure that he got through and that they would take 3 damage if this was their only blocker. Now, on the flip side, to explain to you how this works after blockers are declared, and another way that you can cast this is you can instead decide to do nothing. And in this part of the combat phase, which is declare attackers. After that, it goes directly into declare blockers. Now let's say, they've declared blocks here like this. Now there's another window for both of you to act. Now let's say they've declared blocks with their angel on your 3-1 with their 3-3. And now you want to cast this card to give our guy protection from non-human creatures. So now instead of making sure they take 3, you've instead removed this creature from the board by killing it, and we haven't lost our guy. So with there being steps the way they are, so many steps in the combat phase, it allows you more play with your cards. You can make decisions on how you want to use them, or what you want to do, whether you want this guy to be protected from all the angels, or whether you just want to kill off their guy and then try to get in again next turn. So, and then after the blockers phase, there's the end of combat phase, which is it's more or less a cleanup step for combat, and then it will go into your main phase too. But that's pretty much it on combat. It's just think of it as there's a bunch of phases inside of a phase, and there's a lot of times where you can cast instants, but you can only cast instants. So that's it for combat. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and continue to watch, and thanks.